I'm like, how do I join this?
We did it.
Oh my gosh, how do I join this? I'm like, how do I even join this? Hi,
Hi, Beth. How are you?
I'm good. I'm in my friend's office. Like, I don't even know how to join this. I'm like on my phone and I have like no, oh, what does it say? Send a rose. I don't even know what that means. I'm supposed
So
to send a rose. What am I supposed to do?
you
Hi,
have
you and I've been trying to do this for like a
mhm.
year.
You have the easiest job. You just have to answer questions. And that's it.
I'm very honored and delighted to finally be able to talk to you. So thank you for your patience and for finally setting this up with Eric.
Yes.
Awesome.
And thank you to Eric, and I'll message him. Of course, he's been really helpful. I just want to quickly ask someone. I know Craig is watching, just to make sure that you see her, but I think you everyone sees her, so we should be good to go.
Yeah.
Where are you in Toronto right now?
I know, I'm at my friend's office.
Are you in Toronto?
Yeah.
By the way, how are you surviving this heat? By the way, it's ridiculous.
Okay. So I was in a tracksuit today because I'm always cold. And see, these are my track pants. So I'm always cold and I'm in a tracksuit all day. I was
Wow.
I was comfortable. I was finally comfortable. I'm
Okay.
finally comfortable. And I have this little dog who's fast asleep right now because she's finally comfortable. I don't like air conditioning, I don't turn it on. And
Okay.
so I'm very comfortable in this weather.
Okay, interesting. Okay, let's just get right into it. First of all, I have to congratulate you on the new album, of course, Champion, which this is like, yeah, last album was 15 years ago. So, first of all, how does it feel? Were you nervous putting out a new album? Like, what's the feelings?
Well, you know what? I've been playing with Doug Fury for, I don't know, I don't know, like 25 years, 24, 20, 23 years. And Peter, of course, my manager, I've had for 32 years, and I've known Chico since we were 21. And I think that, for them and for me, it's something that's very meaningful and magnificent. It's really meaningful, and the fact that I can play "I Love Myself Today" for the rest of my life, and play Spaceman and Lucky every show for the rest of my life, and I will, because playing Lucky always makes me cry, and even playing Spaceman makes me cry. I love it. I'll never stop playing those songs, but I have like 150 new songs, honestly, that we've never released, and we write more songs all the time. And so it was like, it was just a matter of, finally going, just put it out there. I mean, we released a single a year was what we were doing. In 2020, we released Jim. I made a video for Jim, which, turned out to be a very powerful but really sad song about longing and betrayal. And the video really reflected that. And I mean, who knew it would be very much reflective of my real life eventually, which is even a whole other story. We're not going to talk about it. And then the following year, 2021, we released Broke Into Your Car. Again, big surprise, a song about longing. And then in 2022, we released Roller Dome, which again is a song about big surprise, longing, and love, and and dreaming. And it's a really dreamy song. And those three songs were always on the Champion record. And then we kept tinkering, and then the pandemic kept going, and then it was like, I didn't know. We just kept going and kept writing and kept going, and then life kept happening, and then we were touring, and then it got busy, yeah. I mean, I'm so happy that we have finally put the record out. The video for Champion came out last Saturday, which is really exciting. Champion as a single is a song that really is a powerful song. It really is about resilience and about, the fire that is within all of us, that we can all just survive anything and we can withstand anything. I believe that about everybody. no
So I
matter
was
what.
gonna ask,
Yeah.
yeah, it's because you have the name of the album is Champion, and then you have the song Champion, and it seems appropriate for just for your life because again, you are really resilient. So was that the purpose, or what was the reason for the name Champion? Was it again going back to resilience?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that my story is no different from anyone else's, from yours, or the guy down the street, or the guy at the salami shop, or the lady at the bakery. Everyone had, they always say these cliche statements like people are fighting something we know nothing about, but honestly, it's so true. It really is. And I always, when I was really young, I read a lot of books about theology. I was really into Buddhism when I was young, and Taoism and stuff like that. And I couldn't ride on the city bus where I lived in Winnipeg. And then in Vancouver, I would ride on the bus and I would get overwhelmed and have to get off the bus all the time, because it would occur to me that every person on that bus had been in a situation in their lives, whatever it was, that they would be like in heaving sobs in some circumstance in their life, like all of us have. And I think about it whenever I see people. Um, Everyone has been through something that is absolutely mind-blowingly horrific. Every person that you ever see, and everyone has risen above that. Every single person has stumbled. Everyone's had a bumpy time, and everyone can and will crawl out of it. And it goes up and down. Life is like that. We go up and down, and I just believe that everyone has the ability to kind of crawl out and keep going. And that's what champion is like. I mean, I don't know. I know a lot of artists that put records out all the time because they like it and they love it, and they like the whole the system of doing it and the process of doing it. And sometimes, I think that it's hard to be an artist, and it's hard to put it all out there because you feel self-conscious about your words, and your words are really, sometimes they're really sad, or you feel kind of shy about airing out all your feelings and your personal life and what you've gone through or what you're going through. But you gotta just fearlessly put it out there. And so that's what we did, and you just have to feel, I guess, not shy about it. I
Yeah.
don't know how old I am. I still feel shy about saying all these, like, cheesy love songs, I guess. I don't know, but it still makes you get up and jump up and down and still want to get in the pit. I mean, my manager makes fun of me and says, "When are you going to stop listening to hardcore music? How old are you?" And it's always going to rile us up, and we're always going to love what we love. We never change. No matter how old we get, we never change. And I think that's something that's joyful for all of us. That's why you can go to hockey games and see these, hockey fans. They're like 95 and they're swinging their towels and they're crazy because we never outgrow, how we feel. Never.
Yeah, no, and I'm a firm believer, and I love everything you said. I'm a firm believer in maintaining that youthful spirit because I think if you maintain that youthful spirit, it actually keeps you from physically and mentally aging. And I think you that applies to you as well because you're incredible. Your energy is incredible. You're everything. So thank you for that. I do want to, of course, take a bit of a go on a bit of a roller coaster, a blast from the past. We'll say we'll look through some of your songs. You mentioned Lucky. A lot of people in my generation, millennials, and also older, like Gen Xers, they know Lucky from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I want to talk about that. I have two questions about. First of all, how did you get selected to work on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and what was your experience like?
Well, I don't know how we got so lucky to be on that show. It was amazing. We were in the middle of a tour. I mean, that was such a crazy year. We were doing stuff like The Tonight Show with Jay Leno, and we were on tour with The Cult and with Fuel, and we were in Europe, and we were doing some stuff on Lilith Fair. It was just really, really busy. And then we were like, oh, in the middle of your show week, we're going to pick you up and fly you to California, and you're going to go and meet Sarah Michelle Gellar and go on Buffy and sing 2 year songs. It was just like, what? I mean, it was like we couldn't believe it. It was so, and now I had a lot of, I have anxiety. I don't know if you knew that. I do. I get totally like sweaty palms, nervous. I get so nervous I can't sleep. I'm just like, oh my gosh, what if what if I sing bad? What, all these things. Because you want to do a good job, and it's like it's high pressure. You can't get sick. All these things. So it was like, to go on this big movie set, and she was so nice. She was so gracious, and she was so polite. And she came and introduced herself to the whole band, and she was just so nice. Everyone there was so nice. Seth was nice, and there were snacks, and we got to eat with the crew. I mean, all these things were like just phenomenal. It was such a phenomenal experience. And then, yeah, if you followed the show at all, it was a bit of it was kind of a monumental episode. It was a really romantic episode, and then the song was the backdrop for this romantic episode. So it was just like, it was just phenomenal. It was just such a, we just felt so fortunate to be involved in any way on that show. And to have that particular song, for me was very meaningful, because that song I had written with, one of my favorite ever boyfriends, for my first record, and it got turned down for my first record. And so I was just crestfallen. I just loved the song. And so I submitted that song for my second record, Ibifficus, and it got accepted. And so we got to record it for Ibifficus, and it felt like a miracle. And then for us to be able to do it on Buffy the Vampire Slayer was just like, man, it was like a dream come true.
Yeah, no, it's a huge pop culture moment, and I love like people like going back to that show and then they realize like, oh shit, like you're in that. So I love seeing that connection. And also, just another quick shout out that you also were, I think you voiced an episode of Daria as well.
Yeah, that was so fun. I love doing voiceovers. I really do. I love doing voiceovers. And Daria was, it was a really cool show. It was a cool show. And at that time, it was like, yeah, it was really cool. A lot of my friends were into it and watched it religiously. So, for about 5 minutes, I was cool to my friends.
You are cool to a lot of people. I do want to ask, I do want to talk about another song, of course, Moment of Weakness. One of, if not your biggest songs, I would say, to this date. A couple things about Moment of Weakness that I would love to know about. First of all, was it on purpose, or was it just a coincidence that you did most, if not all of that video in one take? Like, how did that happen?
That was definitely the artistry of the director. I mean, it was so, yeah, it was meant to be that way. And we used I think it was the offices of the record company in Los Angeles where we filmed that. And it was, again, it was like a long day. It was nerve-wracking, but I was very happy. I got to wear like my snowboarding runners, and, they weren't like trying to dress me, in some like, I don't know, cat lady suit or anything like that. It was just, I look back now and I just think, it was such an innocent era for many reasons. Not just in my career, but in music in general. And we were really lucky, not just with much music in Canada and in Europe, but also in the States with the MTV and stuff. They really got behind that track particularly, and they really got behind it on the video channels and stuff. And so that was loads of fun. That was just loads of fun.
Yeah. Speaking of the song again, the name Moment of Weakness. You mentioned it was about when you were in Mexico with someone, and you also almost married a guy in Mexico who you like barely knew.
I'm not even gonna tell you how many times I've been engaged. But you know why? Okay, honestly, it's because it's so like, how can you say no? Like, how can you be rude? Like they go to all the trouble, and it's just like you feel so bad. You can't just say like, what are you supposed to say? Like you can't say no. And especially when I was younger, it was just like I couldn't say no. So it's like, so that was, and so I used to say it was just, I had a moment of weak because I felt so bad. I just couldn't say no. And yeah, that was one of the weak moments I had.
That no, and that's okay. So let
I
me
had a
ask
lot
you.
of them.
Let's flip it then. Can you share with me a moment of strength in your life that stood out to you?
Oh, so many. You know what? I mean, I'm so lucky. I have so many great friends in my band. They're so awesome. They've just been my best friends for so many years. And my manager, I've only had one manager my whole career, and he's just been amazing. I mean, I can't complain, no matter what. And even, a lot of people think that, some of the bad things, maybe that I wrote about in my book or anything like that would be considered tragedies, or even being sick, or even having, breast cancer. I was only 36 years old when I was diagnosed. But for me, honestly, it was a blessing because I came into volunteering when I was still a patient, and had I not had breast cancer, and had I not been in the chemo ward as a patient, I never would have discovered that avenue of volunteering. I wouldn't have discovered that. And I wouldn't have discovered that I had a real passion for it. So I think that it was a blessing. And so those moments when you think, just when you think you can't do something, to discover that you can, to me is like, it's wild. And again, every person has that within them, everybody. It's not just me. Everybody can rise up to any occasion and surprise themselves. It's not even about surprising other people. It's about learning about yourself and what you're capable of. It's really amazing. Life can really take you into these incredible directions that you can't even envision that you could go.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And again, going back to Champion, the album, the song, you're a champion for many people. You advocate for many people, many groups, many causes. And I do want to get a quick shout out to your book, I, Bifficus. It is an incredible read. So I have to say that.
Thank
Um,
you.
Everyone honestly should read it. It's an incredible story. Speaking of, again, being an advocate for so many people, like whether it's for the LGBTQ LGBTQ2SL plus community, for pets, for people struggling with cancer, whatever the cause is. Again, what is it like? Why do you think you advocate for so many different groups? Like, where do you think that stems from for you?
Because I'm the one with the microphone. Really and truly, I think that's all it is. I think that all of us, it just comes from like any of us in school. If someone needs a hand up in school, we help them in the lineup in the cafeteria. It's the same thing. That never leaves us. And I think that everyone has it within them to be able to, help their neighbor, or give the place in line to somebody else who is in a rush, or whatever the case, or give their seat to somebody else on the bus. I think everyone can do that. And for me, I just think that obviously I can't be effective helping everyone, but there are certain things that I really think that I want to get behind. And obviously animal rights are big for me, and human rights are big for me. LGBTQ rights have always been a big issue for me. But as I moved to Ontario from British Columbia, when I was still in BC, there was an organization called Raise the Rates that were kind of focused on raising the social assistance rates and raising the welfare rates. And what it was basically was fighting the injustice of the government agencies kind of keeping people in poverty. And that's a huge issue. We don't even have time to talk about it. But it's basically how our society systemically blames the poor for being poor, and it's just insurmountable. And now here we are after the pandemic, and things are worse. So, I think that moving forward, I don't know how, but I think sometimes, that I like to, when I do have the microphone, I do like to try and advocate for groups and organizations that don't often get a fair chance to be heard.
Yeah, and I love that answer. And again, I know you're a huge supporter of animal rights. And we have to talk about your pets, specifically some of the dogs. I know right now you have Grace Freely, which I love the name. Um, you've had is she right? Is she sleeping?
He is. I'm in my friend's office. My friend has two cats.
Okay.
Oh, you want to see John G?
Oh, there's
Yes.
Grace. Oh, hi, Grace. Oh,
Grace. Grace is fast asleep. And Grace is 4. I've never had a terrier before. Grace was rehomed to me because Grace was in a family that had really big dogs. It was a very active family. They loved Grace very much, but it wasn't the right environment with all the big dogs and Grace. So luckily, it kind of worked out. I had a dog that was 17 years old that had passed away, and it just kind of worked out timing wise. I've never had a dog as small as Grace, so that's interesting. But because I am kind of shuffling in between 3 households, within our shared households, there's 3 little dogs in another household. We just lost one, Bluey. Bluey just passed away about 3 weeks ago. It's going to make me tear up. Bluey was a wonderful dog. Bluey was 9. And then the 2 cats that are here, Rorschach, a cross-eyed rag doll, and then Ginny, who's a Maine Coon. They're both rescues. And I mean, if we could save all the animals, we would. There's lots of animal sanctuaries, which includes farm animal sanctuaries all over Ontario, where I currently am, and from where I was living in BC, but all over Canada, and of course all over the world. I just think that if we can try and live more compassionately, that includes animals, hopefully we'll be more compassionate towards humans and one another.
yeah,
Hopefully.
yeah. No, I think again, if someone's never had a pet or at least been around pets or any type of animal, like I don't think they realize like how much of an impact they have on your life, even if it's just for a few minutes. Like the way they can de-stress you, it's like nothing else in the world. I think.
Yeah.
Let's go back to some songs again because everyone loves to talk about your songs and especially your classics. So you talked about Spaceman. That's one of your favorite songs as well. And I find it fascinating how the remix really kind of really propelled it even further, and pun intended, I guess, with the Boomtang Boys, which I love because they also did Squeeze Toy back in the day. So I'm just curious how like you put out Spaceman and then how did the remix come about?
They just asked. Honestly, back then they just asked, and I love remixes. I love dance music. And there's remixes of Champion already. And there's amazing remixes of Champion that are coming down the pipe that they're gonna blow your mind. There's Adam Percy remixes on the record that you're gonna discover. The True Believers remix. We're getting on a whole bunch of Pride soundtracks, and you're gonna love it. I mean, honestly, you're gonna love it. And I love remixes. I love dance music. Who doesn't? I love dancing. And we have a secret album coming out possibly this summer that may or may not include a lot of unreleased dance tracks. You may or may not have heard that here first. Um, but I think that the dance remix for Spaceman is it truly is one of my favorite ever songs. And I think that at the time that it came out, it was so surprising for people because they didn't really expect that from me at the time. At the time, there weren't a lot of, it was a different era. There weren't a lot of, rocker chicks putting out dance remixes at that time. And now it's kind of, I don't know, anything goes now, if you will.
Yeah, I see someone asking, "What's the story behind your name?" Isn't it that like people couldn't pronounce your name, Beth? So is that why they
Yes.
called you Biff? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it was that simple. Yeah, I think it was in the eighth grade, a kid mispronounced my name, which is Beth, and he called me Beth, and it stuck. And Naked was my punk rock stage name because all the guys in all the other punk rock bands had very provocative names. When I was, 16, 17, 18, they all had these really provocative names. And so I wanted a very provocative name. And my best friend was an exotic dancer, and she had a very provocative name. So I wanted a provocative name, and I was Bif Naked. And it
There you go.
stuck.
There you go. But I don't know how much time you have. I try not to keep you too much longer. I know people want to hear from you, so just don't be shy. When you feel like I have to go soon, please tell me, okay?
Thank
So,
you.
just want to talk about some other kind of significant moments in your life. One of them, I believe, Little Red Corvette. Was that the first music video you ever saw by
It
Prince?
is. It is the first music video I ever saw. I was in Hibbing, Minnesota at the time. And I can't remember how old I was. I was like 12, 11 or 12 years old when I saw it, and I was blown away. I just couldn't even believe it. Of course, it was Prince, so it was like, really racy. I thought it was a very racy sound, very racy music, but I just loved it. And, I was such a huge fan, just a huge fan of Prince. My older sister, Shrin, was a massive Prince fan. But yeah, it had a huge impact on me because it was racy, it was so visual and it was so sensual and so, I don't know, it made you emotional, it made you kind of move your body.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Something else that seems like it was pretty significant in your life is something you said in your book about what your parents would tell you when you were younger, and I hope I'm pronouncing it right. It's Aap Ki Marzi, which is in Hindi, I believe, for like as you wish.
Yeah, Hopkins Mercy.
Aap Ki
Yeah,
Marzi.
yeah, whatever
Yeah,
you like. Yeah, that's absolutely right. It's kind
yeah,
of,
because like yeah, but so it's like that maybe was like what propelled you to just kind of have a very free lifestyle. But then you also said like, oh, then you would also maybe experiment with drugs because you took on that mantra, maybe. So I don't know, like was that mantra like something you like always like kind of went back to, or
absolutely, and it reminds me of my dad so much because that's just kind of how they were, and it's not like they were like um, whatever goes, but they were definitely like whatever you like, and it was um, yeah, that's just kind of how they were. They were never controlling or limiting, even though they were kind of strict, conservative, I guess is a better word for it, but without being controlling. And so as a result, they got, their three daughters um, were very different girls, but we're all free thinkers.
okay, fair enough. Okay, super random. But someone may have told me, I don't know if it's true. Did you wear a perfume called Angel?
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. I did when I was a kid. I loved perfume. I just have always loved perfume. It's really hard not to love perfume. I guess I have crazy olfactory glands or whatever. Now it's easier because, like, now it's easy to find perfumes that are like cruelty free or vegan. You can go anywhere and find healthy perfumes and the stuff that's not toxic. So
Okay.
there's a Canadian company I like called the Seven Virtues.
Okay. That was, by the way, Rick Campanelli. Rick the Temp told me about that when he used to talk to him at Much Music. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And then I also want to say quick shout out, of course, you had with Ed the Sock. You had a it was Bifina. You had your own little sock puppet. So I love that.
I
Yeah.
did, and I spoke with Ed just today with Ed the Sock.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Glad to hear that. So obviously, yeah, you're doing this promotion right now. So basically, just kind of wrapping things up. What are the plans? So you said you may release another album. Are you going on tour, performances? Like, what's the plan for the rest of the summer and year?
We are. It seems like every summer seems to be when I love to play concerts the most. And that's true this summer too. In this area, of course, everyone knows we're playing Big Shiny Saturday.
Yes, I need to go
Yeah,
on. Yes,
July
please talk about
4th.
that. How did that happen? When I saw that, I was like, whoa! It's like big shiny tune. So please, like, how did that
We're
come to
very
be?
excited to be doing that. And so I hope to see everybody there. It's going to be with the Tea Party and the Headstones and Treble Charger. I think that it's going to be an amazing, amazing day. Hopefully, the weather will be great. Hopefully, it'll be balmy hot like this, so that I will love it because I love it balmy hot like this. And yeah, just I think that we're gonna get ready. Of course, we've been shooting a documentary for the last 4 years, and the film crew has been following us around. They've been coming with us to Europe and to Mexico and all over Canada, and we're finally in editing. I haven't seen any of it. I haven't seen any of the interviews that they've done, and I only know maybe some of the stuff, of course, that they've interviewed me about. They did a lot of drone footage shots, obviously with me and Grace
Mm.
running around France and running on the beach in Mexico, and it was a lot of it was very heavy. They were talking about my origin story, about being born in India, and about my adoption story. They talked to my birth mom, and I mean, it's just like I don't know what to expect, but that's going to be coming out in 2025. So we're already booking dates that are in conjunction with that documentary filming, and they're going to show the documentary, and then I'm going to do Q&A at the end of the film. So I don't know what that's going to be like, but ah!
No, that's amazing, and maybe hopefully, I think it would be great if they showed that at TIFF next year, maybe.
I think that's the plan. I think that's one of the many festivals that they're going to be doing.
Okay. Last question. I'm curious. Who's another Canadian artist you'd love to collab with?
Oh my gosh, I'm a huge music fan. I love everybody. Like I can't even think of one artist. I love everybody so much. Um I
Okay.
mean, I'm just a huge fan of everybody. I don't know. You tell me. Like I love
Well,
everybody.
so I don't think you have, but I literally thought this the other day. You and Fifi Dobson,
Oh,
you
I
need to do a
love
song.
Fifi. She's so awesome.
Yeah.
She's amazing. That's a
Yeah.
great suggestion. I love
That's
Fifi.
nice.
Thank you.
Anyways, so again, congratulations on this new album,
Thank
Champion, and everything. And again, to everyone who's watching right now, I bet because it's honestly such an incredible story. And I know everyone has their own story. You're right, but yours is incredible. It really is. So thank you for sharing this. Thank you for sharing with me and getting this done. And I just wish you all the best.
Thank you. And thank you for doing this interview with me.
No worries. I'm just gonna stay on for a bit, but you make your way off however you can, and that's it. You
Okay.
got this.
Thank you.